A lot of people will tell you it's first impressions that count, but speaking as a man who once literally vomited on a former girlfriend's mother the first time they met, I can tell you it's perfectly possible to recover from them. Pretty sure I've told you all that one before, actually. What matters most, and again with apologies to aforementioned former girlfriend, is how things end. So long as you give things a satisfying conclusion, all the minor sins that came before tend to get forgotten about. However, if you absolutely shank your final scene, or fail to wrap up your narrative threads, or I don't know, tell somebody it's over in a restaurant just as the waiters arrive to sing them happy birthday, things tend to get remembered as a bit of a letdown. My name is Adam Cleary, and these are the 10 most disappointing endings in movie history. Number 10, The Devil Inside. This film was one of the many post-paranormal activity horror films jumping on the found footage trend, so it really needed to stand out if it wanted to capture some of that glory. Taking a mockumentary visual style to follow a woman seeking answers about her mother's botched exorcism, the film turned a respectable profit but left a lot of viewers and critics alike with a bad taste in their mouths. That's because of the ending, and yes, that is the entire premise of this video, where after demonic possessions and gory deaths, the protagonists drive off the road and into a tree, and that's it. Except no, it isn't, because audiences then got a title card telling them to go to a website to see the actual culmination of the story. The studio thought this was very clever and very modern, but audiences thought it was a lame marketing gimmick because it was. Number 9, The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn, Part 2. The Twilight films are not as terrible or as soulless as you remember, according to whoever it was that wrote this script. But still, it's the final 2 films in the Twilight Saga that really let the series down. Breaking Dawn Part 1 was a plodding, dull movie at best because most of the action and drama was being saved for Part 2. And oh boy, did Part 2 deliver on the action and drama. Fans got a truly epic fight scene where multiple main characters end up dead in a huge departure from the books, except no, they didn't, because it was all just a dream. Yes, that old trick. Something to do with Alice, yada yada, something to do with seeing the future, yada yada, something to do with the entire rest of the film losing all sense of tension as nobody can possibly be under threat, yada yada. Number 8, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Straight up, 10 Cloverfield Lane is a masterclass in tension, IMHO. Led by fantastic performances from John Goodman and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, each new narrative beat is as thrilling as the last, and you will find yourself gripped from beginning to almost the end. After spending every second of the film underground in a small apocalypse prepper's bunker, Michelle finally escapes the abusive and controlling Howard and gets out onto the surface. It's a hugely triumphant moment, but then an alien ship arrives. Okay. 90 minutes spent watching a close quarters character drama that then suddenly becomes a sci-fi action film. A move so jarringly off-tone it makes it harder to enjoy the film as a whole. I mean, sure, looking a little closer, the ending does resolve Michelle's character arc and reinforce the theme of running and hiding instead of confronting problems head-on, but it just feels so tacked on. Number 7, The Matrix Revolutions. My stance on the Matrix sequels is the same now as it was when I first saw them, and that is that it's a shame that they didn't make any Matrix sequels. You see, The Matrix is that rare mix of awesome action and hardcore sci-fi philosophy that has only really been duplicated since by Mad Max Fury Road. Reloaded and Revolutions, on the other hand, might have the same name and some of the same characters, but they're not the same film, and fans were thus left a little disappointed. The final straw for most of them came in the trilogy's finale, where Neo is absorbed by Agent Smith, and the leader of the machine surges energy into his real body. This destroys Smith, kills Neo, and Zion and the Matrix are restored. However, you only actually understand that with extensive rewatching, wider reading, and having a friend who actually likes them literally sit you down and explain it. The best advice is to simply take the ending at face value, that Neo saw that believing what is real is all that matters, and thus it doesn't really matter if the Matrix exists or not. But in the moment, most people simply just watched it and thought, what? Why he... Number 6, SpiderMan 3. Sam Raimi himself does not like this film because his vision was twisted by corporate meddling. It's overcrowded with villains, painfully cringy at points, and coming right after one of the best superhero films ever made. In Spider-Man 2, it didn't even come close to living up to that standard. The ending is equally disappointing. There was so much happening in the film that it struggled to wrap up every loose end, and that's not even to touch on the terrible handling of Harry Osborn's death. After the Green Goblin's son Spider-Man dies to save Peter, the film seems to be ending on a mournful note at his funeral, but then just cuts to Peter and Mary Jane dancing in a nightclub. And somehow that's not even the worst dancing sequence in the film. The tone shift takes an immensely powerful moment and just absolutely sticks its fingers down its throat. Just as it was on the verge of salvaging itself, we instead get a very disappointing end to an even more disappointing film. Number 5, War of the Worlds. One of the most famous disappointing endings in all of pop culture, War of the Worlds is nonetheless a powerful sci-fi apocalypse story that has terrified the masses over multiple generations. The HMS Thunderchild sequence never fails to send chills down spines, and its caught in the crossfire style of presentation was unique amongst the genre for a long time. So when top shagger Steven Spielberg, one of the modern masters of sci-fi cinema, decided to make the film for a new audience, everyone was very excited. Focusing the themes around family this time, it was more akin to a reimagining of the original book's narrative, retaining some key moments but changing others for the better. This gave him carte blanche to rework the ending, but no. Once again, the aliens are defeated not by humanity's strength or teamwork or intelligence or will to survive, but by bacteria, stating that we earned the right to the planet by being able to coexist with its inhabitants, yada yada, very poetic. Similarly to 10 Cloverfield Lane, the story is one of perseverance, and it carries with it a harsh commentary on war in general. But if you're coming into War of the Worlds expecting an epic sci-fi with a hopeful ending, like say Independence Day, you might be better off watching something else entirely, like say Independence Day. Number 4, I Am Legend. Yeah, you all know why this one's here. I Am Legend is the story of Robert Neville as he remains uninfected in a post-apocalyptic New York with his dog. Neville is, by an astounding coincidence, a virologist who is trying to find the cure to the disease that has ravaged the country and turned 9% of the population into vampire-like monsters. Beyond the fantastic portrayal of a devastated New York and the tragic scene with his dog... Sorry, just give me a minute. No, it's okay. I'm good. I Am Legend is an underrated sci-fi drama that lost a lot of points with its unfortunate ending. Neville seems to have finally found a cure inside one of the monstrous women, but he's stuck in a dead end with her. In the theatrical cut, Neville blows himself up with a grenade in order to get the cure out to a band of survivors. Now, this ending isn't awful per se, but it's when you compare it to the director's cut that it is. In that version, the monsters aren't trying to trap and kill Neville, they're trying to rescue the woman. This recontextualizes the entire film and the true implications of his goal, i.e. the creatures are still human at their core and Neville has a new purpose. That is good storytelling. Blowing him up with a grenade isn't. Number 3, The Abyss. The Abyss was marketed as a simple sci-fi movie, but there was horror in it for days. Being sunk in a submarine, unable to be rescued. Strange, unidentifiable lights watching your every move. Water flooding into an enclosed location and having no way of stopping it. It is all something I find about as terrifying as the idea of reopening my Twitter DMs. So when a film instead changes from a claustrophobic drama to a weird alien film, it's another one of those tone shifts that can really mess with you. In truth, the film would have been pretty good had the aliens been more Lovecraftian Cthulhu-esque beasts that the characters had to somehow fight off. But instead, they're benevolent, and the rest of the film is spent effectively worrying over nothing. I mean, they just start helping everybody, and they're really nice. How is that meant to be scary? Number 2, Lucy. In Lucy, if you've not seen it, Scarlett Johansson accidentally ingests a drug that enhances her brain power. She then starts to display some strange abilities like telepathy, telekinesis, and being slightly rude to Morgan Freeman. She eventually becomes powerful enough to alter her own body shape, and she merges with computers to become an extra powerful supercomputer that will contain all the knowledge in the universe. She then time travels and witnesses the Big Bang, then reaches 100% brain capacity and transcends our dimension, becoming one with the universe itself. Now, yes, you're right, that is all very hashtag relatable, but turns what was an interesting premise into a bizarre, over-the-top finale that doesn't even make much sense. It thinks it's being all 2001, but in reality, it's more just like your bog-nonce mate having his first ever joint. Number 1, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The shining jewel in the dog-turd crown of disappointment, we have Indiana Jones and the awful, rushed-out attempt to recapture the pop culture zeitgeist. Crystal Skull has a number of problems attached to it. The nuclear fridge was one thing, Tarzan LaBouffe was another, but there was still a chance that it could all end in a satisfying, classic Indiana Jones way. Who then decided that Crystal Skull should end with aliens? Literal aliens. There's no mystery left to the viewer's imagination, there's no intrigue in the history of the ruins, it's all just explained away by aliens. Bad in itself, but also demystifying all the other indie films in the process. Oh, and one quick thing while I've got you, this film came out in 2008 with a budget of $185 million. Why, then, does this alien look like a cross between a background character from The Phantom Menace and a wobbly dildo with a face drawn on it? Indiana Jones and the bad. Goodbye.